A very good afternoon and welcome to the FIFA Club World Cup live here on LFS with me, Caoimhan Ferris, for another live watch-along commentary this afternoon. And today we're going to Group F, where Borussia Dortmund will be taking on Fluminense in the MetLife Stadium in New York. This evening, the Brazilian side against the German opposition, and a very famous Brazilian side and taking on a very famous European German team in Borussia Dortmund. This kicks off Group F. The other game in Group F is later this evening. That is a 11 o'clock kickoff UK time. Ulsan HD, the South Korean side, taking on the South African side, Mamelodi Sundowns. That is the other two teams in Group F. Let's bring up to date with what's happened over the last minutes an hour or so. We will bring you from yesterday evening what happened, but first, already in the early hours of this morning, as I said, Group D had a game at 2 o'clock this morning. Whoever was up to watch that, fair enough to you, but I certainly wasn't. Flamengo taking on Esperance. Flamengo winning by 2-0 in that game. Arrascaeta and Araujo scored the 2 goals for Flamengo. So another Brazilian side off to a very good start in their group. That was in Group D last night. Also, though, after we left you, after the Chelsea 2-0 win over Los Angeles, there was another game at 11 p.m. and that was Boca Juniors against Benfica. That was a Group C match, of course, and this is how that one turned out. It finished 2-2 between those two. A quick recap on this one. A good start for Boca Juniors, the Brazilian side, who took a 2-goal lead in the first half. Merentiel and Bataglia scored the 2 goals inside the first 27 minutes. There was a penalty given after Nicolas Otamendi of Benfica was fouled. Stepped up Angel Di Maria, and he got one back for Benfica just before half-time. It was then to be the tale of red cards as Belotti got himself sent off with a straight red for Benfica, and it looked like maybe Boca Juniors could make the benefit of that, but they couldn't. 10-man Benfica through Otamendi got their equaliser on 84 minutes, levelled the game, and then Boca Juniors also had a man sent off late in that one. Nicolas Figal was also shown red. So both teams had a red card, a man sent off, and ended up a very even affair in that one. Boca Juniors 2, Benfica 2 from Group C. That was last night. Already this evening, we're going to have 3 games for you. We will have this game live here on LFS, Fluminense against Borussia Dortmund. The other 2 games we will recap in tomorrow's fixtures. River Plate take on Urawa Reds, the Japanese side. That's at 8 o'clock this evening, and Ulsan Mamelodi Sundowns is at 11. That is today's roster for the FIFA Club World Cup. Let's have a look at the tables then, how they sit. So Group A and Group B sit exactly as they did yesterday, as they were completed over the weekend. C and D were completed yesterday for match day 1. Group C looks like this. Bayern still leading the way. Benfica and Boca Juniors, second and third, both on a point apiece after their draw. And Auckland City rock bottom of Group C. In Group D, that was completed yesterday. Chelsea winning, but overtaken ultimately by Flamengo. I believe due to alphabetical order, but Flamengo taking the lead. In that group there first, the same scoreline between them and Chelsea, which they won against their respective teams of Los Angeles and Esperance. That is Group C and D. Group E is yet to get underway. Group E does get underway a little later this evening with River Plate and Urawa Reds in Group E, and then in the early hours of the morning, Monterrey take on Inter Milan in their respective game at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's also Group E. Our focus, though, for this game this afternoon is Group F, of which we will see Fluminense take on Borussia Dortmund, which is an exciting one, and it's good to see how these two will play off. Our referee for this game is Ilgiz Tantashev, the Uzbekistan referee. So he is the man in the middle for this one. Looking forward to seeing how these two teams set up and how they end up facing off against each other. We've already seen some positive results for European sides so far. I believe the European sides are unbeaten, if I'm correct. PSG, well, obviously, Atletico are the only team to have lost, but they lost at the hands of European opposition. But I believe every other European side is unbeaten from their respective games. So that bodes well for, of course, Borussia Dortmund. But we'll see what comes out of them against this Fluminense side. Speaking of that, let's have a look at the two teams then, starting with the Brazilians. Fabio is in goal. They've gone for a 4-3-3 system. A back four of Samuel Xavier. Captain Thiago Silva, who we'll know well from the Premier League. René and Freitas, Juan Freitas, are the defenders. In midfield, Martinelli, Nonato and Hercules. Pretty easy to say all those. And a front three of Everaldo, Augustin Canobio and John Arias are the forwards for Fluminense. On the bench, Pitaluga, Guedes, Ignacio, Fuentes, Guga, Manuel, Santos, Bernal, Ganzo, Lexano, Lima, Keno, Cano, Baia and Serna. All on the bench there for Fluminense. As the Borussia Dortmund team, they've actually sped this up. They're not getting kick-off just yet. The Dortmund team, Kobel in goal, a back three / back five, Rierson, Sule, Anton, Bensabaini and Svensson. Then in midfield, Marcel Sabitzer alongside Pascal Gross, Julian Brandt the captain, and Adeyemi and Girassi leading the BVB line. They hurried us up a little bit because the teams are already waiting for the first whistle from our Uzbekistani referee. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That'd be greatly appreciated. Both sides in their home strips for this one. Fluminense in the green and red shirts with white shorts, and Borussia Dortmund, of course, in their yellow shirts and black shorts, of course. Both teams in their natural colours for this clash in Group F. And match day one is hurrying to a close. Tomorrow night's roster is the last remaining of match day one. So it's going to be busy over the next few days, and of course we will have a double header for you tomorrow, which we're so looking forward to bringing you tomorrow evening, which we will get more detail of a little later on. But it'd be good to see kind of how the Brazilians kind of deal with this as well. I think it's the first Brazilian side I've watched, or at least I've done a commentary on so far. But the Brazilian sides have performed pretty well. The South American sides as a whole have performed pretty well up to this point. If we go back to kind of Group A, Palmeiras in that 0-0 draw with Porto. Back in Group A. In Group B, Botafogo's 2-1 win over Seattle Sounders. Performing well. In that group, the South Americans, obviously Argentinian side Boca Juniors getting that draw out of Benfica last night. And then Flamengo's 2-0 win against Esperance in their game in Group D last night. So the South American sides are all in a very good run of form to start this competition, and we'll see how one of them fares against a top European side. And an early card here for Bensabaini, the Dortmund defender. And it's just a late challenge there on the Fluminense number 21, John Arias. And Rami Bensabaini gets himself an early yellow card for Borussia Dortmund. We do expect a very competitive matchup between these two. Of course, the Fluminense head coach Renato Portaluppi, and of course Niko Kovac, the Borussia Dortmund head coach, facing off, as there's going to be a foul on Bensabaini here. And this time it was Nonato that committed that foul. Yeah, Ben Sabani's just trying to shield the ball as he plays it off back to Anton. Yeah, it's just a late challenge by Nonato. Not really necessary. You've got to say one thing about the Fluminense side. A lot of their players just have singular names. There's no double barrel names or no in the usual sense of a first name and a surname. They usually just go by one name, which makes it easier, my job easier, certainly. Here's Anton. Bensabini. And that ball out wide to Svensson was just a little bit overhit, which allows Fluminense to get back onto the ball. Didn't get very far with that possession though, although they've stolen it back. Nicely held up by the centre forward there. And now they're on the break down the right. Here's Arias into the box. He's going to have a shot! And it wasn't too far away. I gotta say that from Jean Arias. He burst away down that right-hand side. And he had the effort, but just couldn't keep it down. Fabulous pressing in the midfield. Really well held off from Everaldo. The centre forward laid it out wide to John Arias on that right-hand side. And he burst away from his defender and Bensabini again. And he just tried to switch it back across goal. He just couldn't keep the ball down. There's that early threat of pace from Fluminense. And good pressing as well from them. Test Borussia Dortmund. Anton with a flick over the top, looking for the run of Julian Brandt, but fairly easily caught by Fabio, the Fluminense goalkeeper. Of course, this game being held in the MetLife Stadium, which is the stadium that will host the final in a few weeks' time. The MetLife Stadium, New York, home to the New York Giants and the New York Jets. Forgot their name there. The NFL sides. And this will be the host of said final. And it'll actually be the host of both semi-finals as well, and one of the 4 quarter-finals. So it's going to be a stadium well known to us in the latter stages of this competition. Freitas down the left-hand side with Rene. Martinelli working it through the lines. Rene. Lovely little give-off to Everaldo. Lovely fluid football from Fluminense. Here's Arias. Trying to swing it round the far side of the box. Brought down well. It's the cutback that's skied over the bar. He got right underneath that one, Rene, but that was a very good move by Fluminense between the lines. And it's Everaldo dropping deeper, allowing to play the ball off to the rest of his teammates and keep the attack going. The Fluminense fan having a conversation with the camera there. Does he realise the camera can't talk back? The goal kick anyway for Borussia Dortmund, but twice in transition with the speed of attack, which has been of interest from Fluminense. As Rearson nicely intercepted, but the referee's going to pull it back for an offside, maybe? Yeah, he's given offside against Rearson there. It looked like he'd signalled for offside, the referee, and the Dortmund defender, Julian Rearson, was a little bit caught out, and he's caught out here down this left-hand side. He's got Arias for the pass, but the ball off that that left-hand side from Augustin Canobio just couldn't quite find a target, and took a deflection in any case off a Dortmund player. It will be an early Fluminense corner. The Brazilians have started the better of the two teams. They've taken this corner short. Martinelli, Rene, trying to find the ball over the top to Martinelli, but too much pace behind that one. Goal kick. But you got to say they've started on the front foot, the Brazilian team. And it's actually their first meeting against Borussia Dortmund in the club's history. Two have never met before. And it's quite refreshing to see that kind of stat after so long. 124 years I think Fluminense have been since they were founded, and to still be, after over a century, be meeting new teams, and of course from a completely different continent, but it's good to see. Yeah, 1902 they were founded, so 123-year history. Absolutely fabulous. Borussia Dortmund, of course, actually founded after Fluminense, 1909. Brandt, Ben Sabine, Gross. Here's it back to Sula. Let's go. Gross dispossessed there well with a pacey Canobio. Now they want to try and make a move, but Everaldo couldn't hold it up that time. And Dortmund want to break away. The referee was gonna play advantage after the foul was committed there by Martinelli, but he's just going to pull it back for a foul on Marcel Sabitzer. And that's going to be a free kick and a yellow card for Matheus Martinelli. And a free kick to Borussia Dortmund around about the halfway line. Get comfortable. It's been very warm in the UK over the last day or two. Nice flick on by Gross into the box, looking for Adeyemi as Brandt had a snatch at it. Didn't get very far with that one. Cycled back with Anton. Now Sula. Switching it out to the left-hand side for Svensson. Gets it off to Brandt quickly. He's facing away from goal, Julian Brandt. Does well to recycle it back to Nicolas Sula. Through the lines. Held up by Girassi. Trying to eke the space, and the ball back towards the Fluminense box and forcing the clearance there from Juan Freitas. Goes out for the Borussia Dortmund throw. Starting to get a little bit more control now, Dortmund. Starting to maybe get to grips with this Fluminense side. Here's Rearson. Ooh, a loose ball in midfield, but well spotted by Anton. Ben Sabine. Out wide to Svensson. Canobio there to try and put the pressure on Svensson. Dortmund keep the ball in the Fluminense half at the moment. Nice switch ball out to the right hand side. Gross to whip it back into the box, and Girassi was there. But Thiago Silva was there too. Not fully cleared. Here's Ben Sabine through the lines, but couldn't bring it down in the box there to Dortmund. But a good cross, very good cross by Pascal Gross on that right hand side. Whipped it in beautifully. And it was Girassi in the middle. But it was Thiago Silva that was there too and got the decisive header. And that's will be a massive threat, will be a major threat to Fluminense. The fact that this Dortmund side do have that quality in the air and can find those targets with their crosses. It's where they'll be threatening today, Dortmund. As Everaldo was brought down there by Valdemar Anton, the Dortmund centre-back. Anton arguing his case, but the referee already given a foul in the Brazilians' favour. Arias holding on to the ball well. It's breaking through tackles and is sent flying by Svensson. There was a man caught there in Dortmund colours. The referee's not particularly done anything yet, but he's going to see what he can do. It's Ben Sabine that was brought down. Arias, stretching. He kind of just catches Ben Sabine. There's not really much in it, if I'm honest. He just kind of caught him. It is going to be a free kick to the Bavarians, to Dortmund, but it didn't seem like there was too much in that. Just a little accidental clip. Svensson all the way back to Gregor Kobel. And the Dortmund goal. It was long. Girassi got a little bounce on the ball there, but nice reactions from Thiago Silva. And he can spread out wide to Arias now. Not covered over. Back to Xavier. Thiago Silva. Nice little popped ball into the midfield. Van Hercules. Rene. Laid off by Everaldo, looking for the run in behind for Canobio. It was well covered over by the backtracking Rearson. Nice idea. Again, Everaldo dropping deeper, allowing the runners off him. He's a real threat at the moment for Fluminense and on the run. Those pacey players in Canobio and Arias wide. It's where they will and have already tried to pose a threat to Dortmund in the early moments of this game. 13.5 minutes gone, still 0-0. The ball popped over the top, looking for Adeyemi for BVB. Getting very far. The Fluminense defence holding strong. Not a great clearance by Rene. Out wide it goes to Rearson. Now Adeyemi. Plays it into Gross. Now Ben Sabini. Handed off to Girassi. And Svensson. Back to Ben Sabini. Passing it around. Looking for the gaps, Dortmund. As I said, this Fluminense defence just comfortable. Settled. Allowing Dortmund the ball wide. Sula. Back to Anton. Sula. Trying to play it off to Adeyemi, who thought he was fouled, but the referee said no. And now Fluminense want to burst down the left-hand side. It's Canobio on that left-hand side now. More Dortmund bodies than Fluminense bodies going forward there, and had to retreat back to Freitas to keep the possession. Out wide it comes again to Canobio. Up against Rearson. Back inside with Martinelli. Now Hercules. Thiago Silva. Freitas. Thiago Silva. And Rakif says Dortmund, saying he predicts Dortmund to win. Forsaken says, hello Alfaz, I think it's going to end a 2-2 draw. Let's see what will come of this. It's a good run by Rene. Up against Sula. Works it back into midfield. Everaldo dropping deeper again. Working it between the lines. Nonato. Xavier again. Both sides holding out each other well. When they do get the ball, both are capable at playing it in between the lines and capable at working it at pace, but both sides' defences comfortable with each other at the moment. It was a good step in that time by Anton. Rearson down the right hand side come Dortmund, but Adeyemi dispossessed in the more central area. And now they want to set it free for the run of Arias here in behind. Arias has got the better of his man Ben Sabini and has the shot which forces a save off Gregor Kobel. And that's going to be a corner to Fluminense. Again, that pace is causing threat in the wide areas from the Brazilians. And it was Arias again. And he did really well to stab that one out off balance and force Gregor Kobel into making a good save. Another Fluminense corner. Whipped in. Flicked on and away by Sula. Still alive though. Canobio is offside. Looked like everybody was eyeing up for that. He was offside there, Canobio. Yeah, the switch ball, and as it was flicked on, yeah, he was offside just about, but he was off. Well, coming into this tournament, Fluminense were unbeaten in their previous 5 games. Oh, Gregor Kobel. What's he done there? play now from the back, Dortmund, and he plays it out for a corner. A little bit of pressure, and Gregor Kobel crumbles. Corner to Fluminense. Wow. That was really shocking from Gregor Kobel. To another corner to be delivered here, for this time from the left-hand side from Fluminense. And their fans are having a real lovely time of it in the stands here in MetLife Stadium. Left-footed delivery with a corner. Whipped out. Header was flicked on by Xavier. Still alive. Canobio whips it back in. The shots from Arias is over the bar. They did well to keep it alive when Xavier's shot didn't really go to where it wanted to. Had a good effort with it, with a header. And I think he might have been offside again, Canobio, in any case. But the shot from Arias was less than impressive, to say the very least, from that position. And it ends up going for a goal kick. But Canobio would have been offside anyway. Positive, very, very positive first 18.5 minutes for Fluminense. Much the better of the two teams at this moment. Stan says, is Job playing, mate? No, he's on the bench for Dortmund. He is in the squad, but he's on the bench for Borussia Dortmund. Job Bellingham. That's a lovely ball in behind. Here's Canobio. He stayed onside this time. He's on his own there as he enters the box. Got cover coming and tried the whip ball in. Headed away by Ben Sabini and then cleared from the danger zone by the Dortmund defenders once again. Dortmund are really struggling at the moment. Fluminense are having fun with Dortmund. The tie side well in the ascendancy. Arias. Nice little give and go with Nonato there. Back to Xavier. Thiago Silva. Freitas. Xavier. Keeping the ball moving. Or Fluminense. And they started the first 5-10 minutes the better of the two teams. Dortmund had their little spell where they had a little bit more of the ball, but they have come back fighting even stronger than they did in the first 10 minutes, Fluminense, and looking so much more threatening. Oh, tried the ball down the left side there, Rene, but nicely intercepted by Rerson. Anson. Across to Ben Sabini. 20 minutes gone. Fluminense 0, Borussia Dortmund 0. Rerson tries the ball in behind. It's Julian Brandt who made the run, but run and no more as he was intercepted. Forsaken says, looking at Fluminense right now, mate, I think they can have a really good chance to win. Well, they've started really well, but again, when you're in a good spell, you need to try and make it count and make the most of it, because Dortmund, of course, have major threats. Here comes one of them, Caoimhan. He's going himself, and he tried to swing it across that 6-yard box. That was Girassi that was in there. He kind of collided with the goalkeeper Fabio, and it went right through the other end. And that was a very good opportunity. It's the first really time we've seen Caoimhan have a run at the defenders. And he drove off that left-hand channel. No one could get in his wake. And he just swung it across the 6-yard box, low and hard. And Girassi just inches away from getting it. And it goes out the other end. That's a close moment. And the nerves on the Fluminense fans there as that dangerous moment just went away from the Dortmund centre forward. And Ciro Girassi is down at the moment. And I think he's going to have to be checked out here from what he's saying. There are a few options for Dortmund if they do need to make a change. Yeah, they kind of collided after the move, the goalkeeper and Girassi, and he's going to have to receive a bit of treatment at the moment. But They do have options if they do need to make changes, Dortmund. Not a kind of unbelievable amount of options, but they do have some that they could make if they needed to make a change. It looks like a Jamie Gittins or even a Giovanni Reina. They wanted to go down that route. But Girassi is receiving treatment off the field. He's back on his feet off the field, so should be okay. Excuse me. Halfway through the first half already. Gotta say, it's flew by. It's been a very impressive first 23 minutes from Fluminense. They've done well so far. Very positive from the Brazilians. Dortmund just kind of caught out a little bit, really. And you do say a lot of the Brazilian teams, you know, outside of the European sides, the Brazilian teams are probably the next best list in terms of quality of teams. You'd have to say, or the South American teams really include like the likes of River Plate and Boca Juniors in that as well, because South American teams, I mean, their lifeblood, a lot of the South Americans, is football. It's what they grew up dreaming of becoming and playing and doing for their lives. And, you know, when it's that rich and that important to you, it'll naturally breed even better players and much better quality. And, you know, we see that from these teams. They're not only good with the ball and technically good, but tactically they're really strong. An understanding of the game is really strong. So, you know, if I weren't to back a European side at doing well at this competition, maybe winning it, I would certainly be putting a South American side in the hat to try and do well in this competition, because they are probably the next best and probably better than some of the European sides that are in this competition. We saw that, you know, Palmeiras held Porto to a 0-0 draw. Boca Juniors took a draw out of Benfica as well. So they have, when they've competed, South American and European sides, there's not been much between them so far in this competition. That's a lovely weighted ball in behind. Here's Nonato, gets it across and had to be pumped away that on that occasion by Nicolas Sula, I believe. And he might have hurt his foot in the process, but that was a lovely run by Nonato in behind. And it's a throw in for Fluminense down this right hand side. But that's what I mean about tactics. They can work out those individual moments and spot the gaps and the spaces in behind and exploit them to their heart's content, really. So far Fluminense showing that strength tactically. The long throw, lofted down. Arias tried to keep it alive, but again Sula to send it packing up the field for Dortmund. They tried to swing it back the way it came, Fluminense. Brought down by Adeyemi. And the clearance, half clearance by Rene, works its way back to Nicolas Sula again. Adeyemi coming into midfield. Back to Sula. I think the first goal in this game will be very important. Here's Julian Brandt making the run. Well blocked off by the Fluminense defence. As here's Arias driving into midfield to carry the ball forward. Look at the gap that he's found. And he's played it well to Canobio on that left-hand side. He's got Everaldo in the middle, but 5 Dortmund players between the two. Canobio finds Arias again. Renato cuts it back, and the shot from distance by Hercules is dragged wide. He felt there was a deflection, but the officials don't believe so. We'll see it again. Nice cut back, and he just decided to have the effort. Whether it just bobbled off the ground or whether it was a deflection, excuse me, you can't really tell from that angle. And the goal kick has been given. So far, if we look at the stats, 50-50 in terms of possession. Fluminense have had 4 shots, Dortmund just the 1, but neither side have had a shot on target yet. That could be crucial, but Dortmund struggling to get anywhere near Fabio, the Fluminense goalkeeper, or anywhere near his goal at the minute. Fluminense at least are getting up the field and having attempts at opportunities, but Dortmund struggling in that final third at the moment to keep the ball and make anything of their attacking displays. They do have a free kick here though. Free kick that Pascal Gross looks likely to be taken. From a distance out for Pascal Gross. Former Brighton player, of course. Long distance out, about 36 yards. He's just played it off to Sula, who will loft it into the box. Swung back inside, but the cross there was by Bensabani was well off target, over the top for a goal kick. And he was offside anyway, Bensabani. Clearly straight off the training ground there from Dortmund, that move, but not quite executed to anywhere near perfection. Oh, Fluminense tried to clear the ball. They've given it away cheaply. Garassi trying to combine. But that was fabulously intercepted. And sent thumping up the field by Thiago Silva. Fabulous defending. I mean, one thing about Thiago Silva, he may not be the biggest, he may not be the tallest, he may not be the strongest, but by God, he is still mentally as strong as the best in the world. And his understanding of the game and his timing is just perfect. That you don't have to be the best in all of these categories. As long as you understand the game to its highest extent and you're able to do the basics. Here's a lovely run by Adeyemi. And Fluminense able just about recover. Rene got back inside just in a nick of time. Great touch to take it down. And it was Freitas that was initially battling him. He gets done in as Adeyemi stepped back inside his centre back and then well stepped in by Rene, the left back, just to get in there in the nick of time before Adeyemi could get a shot off. Was gathered by Fabio, the goalkeeper. Another ball over the top, but much closer to the Brazilian goalkeeper this time. 44 Fabio is, I gotta say. 44, and he's in between the sticks. I mean, that's quality. Diego says, seems Brazilians can do well at Champions League. Well, I mean, there's no doubt they could. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. So apologies about that, but I mean, they could definitely do well in the Champions League, the Brazilian sides and the Argentinian teams. You know, they certainly could. And that's kind of what this competition was for a while, you know. For a good while it was about which South American side would meet which European side in the final of this competition. In its previous formats, that's the way this kind of competition worked in previous years. That's the way it kind of seemed to be. Certainly from my perspective, from what I saw, it seemed to be that way. I remember watching Liverpool win the Club World Cup back in 2019. And I think it was Flamengo in the final. The Brazilian side, Flamengo in the final. And it was... Before that, it always seemed to be, you know, what kind of South American side will get to the final and which European side will they meet. Kind of, they'll meet the Champions League winners more often than not. And that's what this competition had really become. And if you're honest, from FIFA's point of view, if you're only seeing two continents being represented overall in the final always, you do need to change the format, and that's what they're doing. Here comes a chance for Dortmund. It's Brandt! Good shot, but well saved by Fabio. And he was offside anyway. Flag went up. Julian Brandt thought he'd had the best chance of the game. He couldn't just hold his run for a split second longer. Was he actually onside there? I think he might have been on, if I'm honest, from seeing the replay. Xavier and Thiago Silva looked like they were just a little bit playing him on. Nonetheless, it comes to nothing, but flag was raised by the assistant, who felt he was in an offside position. Adeyemi brings it down though here. Dortmund getting a little bit of rhythm at the moment. Svensson whips it round the corner. Cleared away at the back post. There from Freitas. Now Canobio. Freitas again. Lobs it towards Canobio on that left hand side. And Freitas will lift it up the field. Nonato couldn't keep the ball. Nicely intercepted again by Canobio. Battling and scrapping for the ball. And now Everaldo swings it out to the right hand side for Arias. Dortmund flooding bodies back. Fluminense trying to get bodies up the field. Arias feeds it out wide. Here it comes, a chance. Laid off. Effort! Oh, just wide. Great opportunity for Martinelli there. And that felt like it was flying towards the net. But it goes wide of Gregor Kobel's sticks. Very good effort by Martinelli. He just couldn't whip it back on target. It stays wide, but there is no doubting the ferocity of that shot. Really good play again. Gotta say, this is a very well matched game. Two very competitive sides, and said the first goal will be huge. That's lovely, well intercepted by Hercules in the middle. Everaldo holding it up. Stayed onside, according to the assistant. Dortmund didn't feel so. Nice 1-2 there. Back to Arias it comes. Hercules skipping past his man. Hercules into the box. Cuts it back. It's a bubbling ball. It's Nonato that will hit it. But it's straight down the throat of Gregor Kobel. That's another opportunity. And if I'm not mistaken, that will be the first registered shot on target of the game. Or maybe it isn't, but it won't be too far off it. Both sides have momentum. That's nicely won back again by Fluminense. And Arias will hit one from distance, and scrambled to get it was Gregor Kobel. He made the save, but it bobbles behind for the corner. These shots from distance are looking a threat from Fluminense. It was going wide. Yeah, it would have hit off the outside of the right post, but Gregor Kobel had to make sure it was, and kind of just flapped at it. Couldn't get a grip to the ball. It goes behind for the corner. Growth and momentum from Fluminense. Right-footed delivery from the corner. Cleared away at the first time of asking. Recycled by Arias. Alright, wide to Arias, sorry. Played in behind. Xavier cuts it back. A chance. Can he stretch for it? He did stretch for it, Martinelli, but he couldn't get it anywhere near the target. And Dortmund can clear it away. Nine minutes to go with the first half. That's absolutely flew by inside the MetLife Stadium in New York, New Jersey, East Rutherford, whatever you want to call it. Goes under so many different names. New York is probably the easiest, the most memorable one. Diego says, imagine all good players from Brazil just stay in their country. They could have the best teams of the world. Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm honest, Brazil as the nation isn't in the best of positions at the minute. I don't think Brazil are the Brazil of old. I think they're still trying to recover. I think Argentina are certainly the best in the world champions, but they're the best team in terms of availability with their squads. And they're better than Brazil, I would feel, certainly. But yeah, you've got a point. Certainly got a point. I've got to say, if I'm being completely honest, this has been probably my favourite game of the tournament so far. We haven't seen a goal, but just how competitive both teams are. At any given moment, either side could have a great opportunity. They both got quality in their teams. And they're both competing very well, and the stats prove it at the minute. Almost 50-50 in possession. Dortmund, however, have only had one shot, which is the only difference. Fluminense are getting shots off. They've had 8 shots so far, 2 of them on target. Dortmund without a shot on target at the moment. But in terms of the battle, Dortmund can snatch a goal from anywhere. Here they come now with Adeyemi. Give it back to Svensson. Work it back into midfield. Sabitzer. Nice Sula. Right on the right side, hand side is Rearson. His body's in the box. Rearson gets to the byline, lobs it across, and the header had to be made by Samuel Xavier at the back post. Puts it behind for the corner. Nicely worked by Dortmund. Space wasn't on the left. They worked it out to the right hand side. Rearson one-on-one, gets to the byline and puts a threatening cross in. It had to be dealt with. And that gets Dortmund a corner. Their first corner of the game, by the way. Fluminense have had all the corners up to this point. 4 of them, in fact. And now Pascal Gross will have a chance to deliver for Dortmund on this left-hand side. Right-footed. Deep to the back post, but claimed initially by Fabio. He's dropped it. And the Fluminense players have to clear it. And another long-range effort there from Sula. But it's dropped a little bit kindly here. And Canobio is breaking away for Fluminense. And he's got no one in help. He just has to spin it back into possession in the midfield. But for a moment it just looked like Fabio had control of the ball, the Fluminense goalkeeper. And then somehow it appeared in a parade of bodies. I don't know where how this happened. We'll see this again. Corner comes in. Fabio did have control of it. And then he drops it after colliding with one of his own players in Freitas. Very strange. And then just all turned to a bit of panic, and Dortmund then started to have kind of long-range shots. And then it turned out a little bit awkward. There is a player down for Fluminense at the moment. So we do have the stoppage in play, but that was a little bit strange, that whole phase of play. Well, I heard a stat before the game that the Fluminense manager, Renato Portaluppi, it's his 6th spell in charge of Fluminense. He's been in charge since April. It's the 6th time he's taken charge of this club, and his first time he's been in charge of the club in over 11 years. He last was in charge back in April of 2014. He was then sacked. He was only in charge for 3 months back in 2014. And he had a good number of spells back in the early 2000s at Fluminense. And at 62, in his 6th spell with the club as the manager. Wonderful. Wonderful stats like that. Of course, Niko Kovac, a bit younger, at 53. The Croatian in charge of Borussia Dortmund. Has had a few jobs in rising up. Of course, was the Bayern manager for a good while in between 2018 and 2019. Also experience in Germany of Wolfsburg and Eintracht Frankfurt as well. So knows the Bundesliga and the German system inside out, it seems, Niko Kovac. Actually, only one of his last 5 jobs have been in any country other than Germany, and that was at AS Monaco in France. He's managed at least 60 games for 3 other German teams, has Niko Kovac. Wolfsburg, Bayern and Frankfurt. And of course was the Croatia head coach for a few years as well. in his early part of his managerial career. Niko Kovac. That's a foul by Svensson. It's going to be a free kick to Fluminense as Arias was brought down. A couple of minutes to go in the first half. Oh, a little breakaway here for Fluminense. It's Arias again down the right side. A bit more even now. His body's in the box, but he can't find them. He hits his cross right at Bensebaini. Still battling for it back here, Arias. And again, the help comes in the aid of Bensebaini, and Dortmund can retrieve. But it looked like it was much more fruitful, that opportunity for Fluminense, as Arias broke down the right. There was a few bodies flooding forward. Couldn't find them on that occasion. And that attack came to an end. Matt Diego says, where's that come from? I mean, I don't know myself. That's a lovely ball to Jurassi. Oh, he tried to flick it back towards Julian Brandt, but didn't keep it hold of it. And Fluminense could retrieve. Not for very long, as that clearance from Xavier was a little bit scrappy. Gross out to the right side for Rearson now. Down the line for Brandt. Back to Rearson. Last minute of the first half. Sula. Anton. Finding it out wide to Gross. Gross in between the lines. Here's Adeyemi. Well challenged. Although, the referee's going to give a corner. Or is he going to give it a throw? Well, he's determined, Caoimhan Ferris, that was a penalty. See it again. Yeah, it's never a penalty. That is a fabulous challenge by Martinelli. Absolutely fabulous. All the ball, none of the man. Caoimhan Ferris has no arguments there whatsoever. Wonderful challenge. And it's been given as a goal kick. That's what was given. So the 45 minutes are up. We will have 3 additional minutes at the end of the first half. I mean, I can't complain that there's 3 more minutes of this first half, because it's been very enjoyable to watch so far, despite there not being any goals. Forsaken says Fluminense has had the chances, but they can't manage to take a lot of them. Yeah, you're right on that occasion. They're getting shots off. They're testing the goalkeeper, but they've not taken any of their chances yet. But then again, if we look at Dortmund in comparison, Dortmund haven't had a shot on target. They've had less than half these shots that Fluminense have had. The only thing that Dortmund are actually dominating is the possession, and that's by about 2 or 3% of the ball. So they're not actually dominating it. They're a little bit more of the ball. So really, in the grand scheme of things, Fluminense have been the better team. But as you say, they just haven't taken their chances yet. And that's something they need to figure out. If they can hold it to half-time, or if they can try and snatch one before half-time. Kerbal. Lifting it long for Dortmund. Girassi battling with Thiago Silva and losing to Thiago Silva. Got to talk about Thiago Silva in the second half. As that ball turns back to Fabio, who he will thump it long this time. Sula with the header. The second ball brought down on this left-hand side by Canobio. Back it goes to Freitas. Veraldo trying to flick it on, but out of play. For the throw to Borussia Dortmund. Wolf says Fluminense deserved the goal. They've been more dominant. They certainly have. Looks like we might be heading into the half-time interval goalless, but we still have a minute to play of the 3 added. Svensson, a little bit undercooked towards Adeyemi, and he's put himself in a little bit of bother. So the ball pokes out, but stretching was Bensebaini. Couldn't find his target, and now Xavier wins it back for Fluminense. Thiago Silva. On clearance, a bit forced. Again, Fluminense winning the duels, winning the battles. Arias dribbling his way through, and the ball took a last touch off Svensson. Will be a throw in to Fluminense. With about 20 seconds to go with a half. We will analyse this first half at half-time. We'll also talk about the games coming up and what you have to look forward to. And also, what have we seen so far? Who out of the teams we've seen so far are looking the most likely to do well in this competition? That long kick by Fabio. Brought down in the midfield, but no time to do much more, because there's the half-time whistle. The Uzbekistani referee blows the whistle. And after 45 minutes of play, 48 minutes really, of play here at the MetLife Stadium in New York, it is goalless between Fluminense and Borussia Dortmund. But there have been quite a few chances for both sides to change that. Fluminense certainly the better of the two teams, but we remain level pegging at half-time. Fluminense 0, Borussia Dortmund 0. We'll be back for analysis in a few minutes. Welcome back to FIFA Club World Cup live here on LFS this evening. We are currently halfway through technically the second game of the day, but the first game of the day of where it's being held in the US. Fluminense 0, Borussia Dortmund 0 at the break in the first fixture of Group F. Which of course also is home to Ulsan HD, the South Korean side, and Mamelodi Sundowns, the South African side, who will face each other a little later this evening. But if we to recap the first half between these two, yes, there's been no goals, but it has been full of entertainment, full of opportunity, and full of really good football, especially from Fluminense. And we talked about it, and I'd mentioned it before about how well the South American sides were doing in the competition so far in their first games, and how they'd all remained unbeaten in their first games, both the Brazilian sides and the Argentinian sides. But they've been competitive, but they've shown off really good qualities. And I said, if we weren't to bet again or to bet for a European side to win this, you would certainly say that a South American side would be well in the conversation to be trying to win this competition. And so far, Fluminense have shown off some really great qualities. Their pace in the wide areas with Arias on the right, Canobio on the left, their ability in midfield, their strength, their physicality in midfield, with Nonato and Hercules, and especially Martinelli in between the lines, and then Everaldo dropping off that centre forward position, allowing for runners off of him, and spreading the ball wide and dragging defenders out of position. The way they've played that first half, Fluminense, has been really intriguing, really interesting, and really strong. And then you talk about the defensive line, about tracking those runners of Dortmund. Julian Brandt, who's going left and right and out wide and inside, changing his position all the way through the half. And then the big physical player in Seru Guirassy. And then you talk about another pacey little tricky player in Karim Adeyemi. Their defence has held it well, with the likes led by Thiago Silva, who we'll talk about in the second half as when I'm commentating again. But the 40-year-old still looks at the top level and still looks really competitive in his one-on-one duels, his battles, his physical tussles with players, and he's able to compete, and he's able to, in those moments, those big moments and big one-on-one moments, step up and be counted and still do the business at a really strong level. And he's carrying the defence with him and kind of lifting them up with him. And overall, Fluminense in that first half to a player have been fantastic. Again, the only thing missing from their game is a goal at the minute. Defensively solid, really strong and physical in midfield, winning the ball back in high areas, doing well in their one-on-one duels, and then their attacking line actually looking really threatening and really kind of positive in the attack. And, you got to say that all of that combined is looking really positive for Fluminense, and, why couldn't they go on and win this game? And for Borussia Dortmund, they've been lacklustre in that first half. They struggled to get the ball forward. They struggled to keep it in the attacking areas, and at times struggled to test Fabio, the 44-year-old Brazilian, in the Fluminense goal. So at the minute, there's a lot of work for Niko Kovac and Borussia Dortmund to do at half-time, and for Fluminense, just keep doing more of the same, and try and find that goal. That's the only thing that's been missing from their first half. Right, the second half is a good couple of minutes away. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk about what we've seen from all of the teams so far in this competition, and kind of out of those, who do we think is the best, and who can go the longest in this competition. We'll see when we come back. Alright, welcome back to the Club World Cup Live on LFS. Fluminense 0, Borussia Dortmund 0 at half time in this Group F fixture. Let's have a look at what we've seen so far. So these are the fixtures over today and tomorrow. But over the last few days, we've seen Al Ahly take on Inter Miami, draw 0-0. Bayern Munich 10-0 winners over Auckland City, 4-0 win for PSG against Atletico Madrid. Palmeiras 0, Porto 0 was also, they were all on opening day, or the opening games of the tournament. Then yesterday there were 3 games. Botafogo's 2-1 win over Seattle Sounders, Chelsea's 2-0 win over Los Angeles, and then Boca Juniors 2, Benfica 2, and then in the early hours of this morning Flamengo 2-0 winners against Esperance. Now, out of all of those teams that have played, so if that's, how many games is that? That totals to 8 games so far. Out of those 16 teams that we've witnessed and seen play, who do we think is the best, or who do we think could go the furthest? If I had to take a guess, PSG are definitely up there. Bayern Munich, but then again, we need to take their result with a pinch of salt. The fact they were playing a semi-pro side, and that it wasn't really as competitive as it should have been. That one really. Again, you would have to put a South American side in there because they've done well. You know, Boca Juniors or Botafogo, Palmeiras, etc., etc. Flamengo. So all of those sides maybe have to come into that conversation. And, you know, so far, you can say that from each game that we've seen, we could see a side going far. You know, I could see Bayern go very far, PSG go very far. Palmeiras and Porto, who knows? But they could be battling for maybe top spot in Group A. Of course, Al Ahly and Inter Miami held to a 0-0 draw. That's a very close group, Group A. Not a single one of those 4 teams in that group scored a goal in their opening games. They will play on Thursday again, I believe, those teams. Let me just double check for you, just to make sure I've got this right. Thursday is the 19th. Yeah, so those teams in Group A will play again both on Thursday. Palmeiras take on Al Ahly, and Inter Miami against Porto is on Thursday. Those 2 games. So both teams, all 4 teams drew 0-0 in their respective first games. But Bayern and PSG certainly would be up there to be going deep in the competition. What can we see from Botafogo or Seattle Sounders? From Group B. Of course, that is PSG and Atletico's group, and they would be the favourites, really, the two, PSG and Atletico, to be heading through out of that group, you got to say. Then Group C, you're talking about maybe, that was the Bayern Munich group, but then you could probably talk about Boca Juniors or Benfica doing well out of that group. In terms of Group D, Chelsea will be up there as the favourites, and then you're probably saying Flamengo as well to be the other side out of that group. But again, Los Angeles put a good shift in against Chelsea, so they could be a real threat. I didn't really see Esperance, if I'm honest, but there are certainly a lot of teams in this competition and in each group that you can go and, yeah, why not? Why couldn't they go far in this competition? Why couldn't they kind of get to the latter stages? And we'll see what comes of all of those teams, because they performed well in their first games. But remember, there's still 2 more games for them to play in their groups before they obviously get through. But there are some teams that are set up that if they win on match day 2, they could already progress to the knockouts. And of course, it is a normal knockout format. Out of the groups, round of 16, quarter-final, semi-final, and final. And those round of 16 games start The first round of 16 game is on the 28th of June, which is 11 days. So that is a Saturday, I believe. It is a Saturday. Yes, so that's in 11 days' time. The first round of 16 game. So, it's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be fighting for these places, but we're looking forward to seeing who can step out and who can step up. And I think in this group, it'll be interesting to see what Ulsan and Mamelodi Sundowns can do. I don't know what those two teams are about, or are they good enough, but surely you would expect Borussia Dortmund and Fluminense to be the two sides that probably could progress from Group F. But again, we've got to see in the other game what those other two teams have in store, what they're capable of producing. But I gotta say, the pregnant woman in the crowd there showing off her baby bump, very interesting. But we've got to see who kind of shows up, who in the end can step up, and who knows, there could be someone that we're not expecting to show up, and someone who, there's always a dark horse in a tournament like this, and it could be someone completely unexpected. And I can't wait to see who that could be. It will be interesting after all the teams have played at one game. That will be on Thursday, because all of the teams will play between now and Thursday afternoon UK time, because Palmeiras and Al Ahly restart, which is match day 2, on Thursday evening in the UK. So in 48 hours time, we'll know how everybody's performed after a game, after one game apiece, and see what way it turns out. As we get back on the way for the second half here in MetLife Stadium in New York. Fluminense 0, Borussia Dortmund 0 as we start the second half. And both sides competitive in the first, but Fluminense certainly the more strength in the final third out of the two teams. But not able to find the net either side just yet out of this very close affair in Group F this evening. Here is Canobio against Rierson, and the ball goes out of play off the Dortmund defender. Out for the Fluminense throw, taken by Rene. And works it backwards to Freitas. Thiago Silva. And Xavier up the right hand side. Couldn't quite find his man. Dortmund intercept. Played into midfield. And back with Anton. Nice Sula. Has to turn back on himself, Nicholas Sula there, and give back to his keeper, Gregor Kobel. No indication of any changes at half-time, by the way, from either team. There was no visible kind of showings that there was any changes, but and officially there hasn't been, so it is everybody who started or ended the first half starting the second. There's Fabio. Goes long again. Held up by Everaldo. Flicked back by Martinelli. Brought down the right hand side for Samuel Xavier. Trying to combine with Arias. Good little turn by Hercules. It's not Hercules, surely. Can't be Hercules. I mean, it could be, but who knows? Long kick by Fabio. Oh, the top again. And Anton leaving it for Gregor Kobel, who absolutely clattered into Everaldo there on the chase. And he got the ball clear, Gregor Kobel, but my goodness, that was a real clash between those two. Kobel and Everaldo. And Kobel's come off the worst of the two players there. I mean, Anton just decided to leave it for his keeper. Everaldo got round his man, and then Gregor Kobel and Everaldo just collided as Kobel cleared his lines. And he's going to have to receive a bit of treatment here. the Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper. There's a substitute goalkeeper for Dortmund. Alexander Meyer on the bench, if he will be required, but we'll see how Gregor Kobel deals with this. We'll see the referee's view of it. Yeah, ball over the top. Yeah. I mean, Everaldo had the right to go for the ball. Of course he did, but just a little bit late on Gregor Kobel. Just a little bit, but it's just a collision more than anything between the two players. And Gregor Kobel is back on his feet and is okay to continue. And they've just been given the free kick there, Dortmund, which is probably fair. Oh, a little bit of a loose ball by Kobel. He's still probably feeling the effects of that clash. And trying to make the most of this now. Fluminense. Everaldo. Arias. Back inside to Martinelli. He will lift it round the back post. Brought down beautifully in the box. Cut back and Hercules with a chance over the bar. Again, the press was well. It was a loose ball by Gregor Kobel. Played onto it well, and a lovely cross by Martinelli. Beautifully taken down on the right side, then squared back to Hercules in the box. And he just couldn't keep his shot down. And that's where they're falling away. That's where they're losing out at the moment, Fluminense. All of their build-up play, all of their approach play is fabulous. But it's their shooting, it's their final pass, it's their final touch. And Gregor Kobel's gone down again. Excuse me, which will be a worry for Nico Kovac now. It looked like when he played that pass that won the ball back for Fluminense, he just still grappling with the clash that he'd just been involved in. And he knows it within himself as he goes down. He knows there's something not right. There's the substitute goalkeeper Alexander Meyer, who's warming up on the bench or on the sidelines. 34 years old, 6'5". There's no shortage of height in him for the German there. He's been with Dortmund, joined Dortmund on a free 3 summers ago, July of 2022. His previous experience at Stuttgart that he was with for a few years. Alexander Meyer. As Julian Brandt has a chat with his coach Nico Kovac. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. It's the heat, clearly. It's obviously got to be the heat because I slept well last night. But the heat was a bit much. It's been a bit much today. It's going to get warmer as well. The proper summer is here. And it took long enough. And we've got back underway. Gregor Kobel, I think, has continued. And a little bit loose there. Yeah, he should be okay to continue, which is interesting for Gregor Kobel. Keep an eye on him, certainly. There's a late challenge on Arias there. Apologies for that. Here is Anton. He's forward. Forcing it towards Gerassi, but he was fouled as he was bundled over by Freitas. Svensson now through the lines, finding Adeyemi, but well blocked off by Samuel Xavier. Canobio can only be forced back into his own defensive area and then was eventually brought down by Svensson. And it will be a free kick to Fluminense, which their goalkeeper Fabio will take. It's going to be a foul going Dortmund's way. And everybody's a little bit confused there. As Nonato went up to challenge for the ball, the referee said he committed a foul. Got a little bit too physical. The ball's played out here to Rierson for Dortmund. Nice little 1-2 between Brandt and Sabitzer, but Martinelli in the way. Brought down by Arias, and Hercules did well. Arias again. Getting the bounce of the ball, rolling it wide. Lovely little take and turn by Nonato. Now Xavier. Right to Canobio on the right hand side. Back to Xavier. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Still 0-0. Bit of stop-start first 10 minutes of this second period. Gregor Kobel going down twice and having to receive treatment. Quite a few free kicks in between. Here is Martinelli. Arias. Rene. Back to Martinelli again. And a switch it out to the far right side. Beautiful takedown by Canobio. Up against Svensson. Canobio. And to play it through. Nice little 1-2 between him and Nonato. Nice Xavier. That's back inside, finding Martinelli. Now Rene. Out to the left-hand side, it comes to Arias. They're trying to work a shooting opportunity here, Fluminense. Martinelli flicks it over the top. Arias keeps it down, gets it back across, but too close to Gregor Kobel. And that comes to an end. But again, the build-up play from Fluminense is positive. It's really nice. But it's just that when they get into the box and have a chance at getting towards a shooting opportunity, just doesn't work out for them. Ben Sabini gets it back from Svensson. Now Anton. Fluminense on the break here. Dortmund had the ball. It's Everaldo in behind. He's one-on-one with Gregor Kobel. He chips past his man. He lays it off now. Canobio hits it straight at the goalkeeper. What an opportunity. And he hits it right at Gregor Kobel. Awful. Now here comes Adeyemi for Dortmund. End-to-end stuff. Adeyemi across. And that might have took a deflection, or does it just go straight behind from Caoimhan Adeyemi? It did. Goal kick. What? Look at this. Fabulous ball over the top. Great run by Everaldo in behind. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. He chops past Anton. He lays it off to Canobio, who just has to fire it. And he just kind of passes it towards Gregor Kobel. If you wanted a chance, there it was on a plate for you. And Canobio just hit sweetly through it, but got no pace, no any sort of lift. It's just right at Gregor Kobel. And Augustin Canobio with the chance of the match for Fluminense. And he's absolutely just side-footed it to the keeper. Dortmund making a double change, by the way. Pascal Gross and Karamadiemi are coming off. And they've just been replaced by Felix Nemeka and Job Bellingham. And it's good to see Job Bellingham. The 19-year-old is debut for Borussia Dortmund after joining from Sunderland just a week ago for over £25.5 million. 19 years old, following in the footsteps of his brother, of course, Jude, who moved from England to play in Germany for Borussia Dortmund. And look at where Jude Bellingham is now, playing at Real Madrid. Top of European football. And Job, well on his path to becoming that too. And he gets his debut. Number 77 shirt he is taken at Borussia Dortmund, Job Bellingham. Last season in the Championship, scored 4 goals, got 3 assists for Sunderland. And helping them to their playoffs promotion to the Premier League. And one thing about him, he was never really absent, Job Bellingham. He was always there. 40 appearances, 39 of those appearances he started, averaging 88 minutes per game across the season. So he more than gave his all for Sunderland. Of course, no doubt, Jude Bellingham, his brother, would have been in contact talking about what it's like to play for Dortmund and what he's going to need to produce in the famous black and yellow shirt. Excuse me. Well, Dortmund are going to need to find someone to produce something for them. Still without a shot on target this afternoon. They've not been the most frivolous in front of goal today. That was a bit of a hit and hope, really, from the back there from Fluminense. Recovered by Niklas Sula. Ben Sabani. Anton. Sula. And back to Gregor Kobel. Anton down the right hand side for Rearson. Brandt has to go all the way back, Julian Brandt, to the goalkeeper, and he's put him under pressure. And Gregor Kobel had to scrapple that one away because there was 2 Fluminense players in the vicinity. And Julian Brandt, the Dortmund captain, sold his goalkeeper down the river there. Awful pass. And Gregor Kobel did well to get rid of the ball under such pressure. A mistake that was unpunished, really, in the end. Unfortunately for Dortmund that they were unpunished there. That could have turned out very differently. And the resulting Fluminense possession was pretty lackluster, actually. Dortmund have it again. Here's Bellingham. He doesn't have, actually, Bellingham on the back of his shirt. It's just Job. Does Job Bellingham. That's his first name on the back of his shirt. Nice ball by Ben Sabani. Laying it off to Garassi, and now on the move as Brandt plays it down the right side for Rearson. Rearson's ball into the box, far too overhit. Nicely recovered though by Sabitzer. Bellingham. Back to Sula. Now Rearson, who gets past his man, and Rene. Here's Rearson, he's breaking into the box. The cut back, the shots! Is trying to find a corner, but it was caught well by Fabio from Marcel Sabas' effort. Struck it well. Was trying to find that bottom left corner, but nicely gathered by Fabio. "26 minutes to go. Still goalless here in this Group F match. Excuse me. Between Fluminense and Borussia Dortmund. Two sides that will be targeting their next two games as opportunities to pick up big points, but they can still pick up all three today, either of these two. Here comes Svensson. Down the left side. Nemetja. To Bellingham. Nemetja. Out to Bellingham again. Dortmund, those substitutions have given them a little bit of energy. Here it comes out to Rearson on the right hand side. Battling well with Rene. Rearson gives it back to Sula. Nemetja trying to squeeze it through the lines, but nicely intercepted on that occasion. And Arias couldn't keep it, gives it away cheaply. Brandt down the right side, and the ball was seen how to play well by the defence. And Hercules was the one that put that one out for the throw. Well, Borussia Dortmund face Mamelodi Sundowns next after this one. That's on Saturday. And Fluminense host Ulsan also on Saturday. And then match day 3, Dortmund take on Ulsan, and Fluminense face Mamelodi Sundowns. Actually, Fluminense don't need to go anywhere. The MetLife Stadium is where they will play their next game against Ulsan on Saturday, so they can keep in the vicinity. They can probably sleep at the stadium if they wanted to. I don't think they would be doing that. And they've kind of had a little bit of a lull, the Brazilians, in the last 5-10 minutes. They can certainly have the players to turn it back in their favour this game. Out onto the right hand side comes Canobio. Up against Svensson. Canobio trying to lift it towards the box. Flicked away. Kept alive by Nonato. Xavier. Down the right hand side comes Canobio. Cuts it back. Kept alive. It's chipped across the goal. And it was cleared away from the head of Everaldo in the middle. It's better from Fluminense. Here comes Rene. To Arias. Hercules. With the lines well by Nonato. Now Xavier. Space down the right side for Canobio. Steps onto his left foot. Canobio will have a shot, and it was flying towards the goal before it hit the head of Anton, who put it behind for the corner. It was going towards the goal, Canobio. I think it might have just gone wide anyway, but Valdemar Anton didn't know that, and he made the contact to put it behind for the corner. Taken short. Rene. Nonato. Nice turn from Martinelli, whose effort was going towards goal and deflected with another header behind for another corner. This time it was Bellingham's header that took it over the top. Again, that's been one thing about Fluminense all evening, all game, that they've not gone away from, and that is taking shots from the edge of the box, taking them from distance, trying to carry the distance with their efforts. They've Got another corner here, this time on the right-hand side. This will be corner number 6 of the game. It'll be Arias that will take it. On the right-hand side, right-footed, delivery, out-swinger. Cleared away the first time. It's Everaldo who has the effort, and the follow-up. Wow! Great save by Kerbal. Flick back across. Off the line. And put behind. Dortmund. If the yellow wall is in Germany, well, it's just been transported to the MetLife Stadium, because how Dortmund have kept that out. The keeper made 2 big saves, and then the back line of Dortmund had to clear it off the line. Wow, what a save on the return, on the rebound there from Gregor Kerbal. Good save of the first effort. Nonato was gasping to try and get the opener. And then what a scramble by Kerbal to close it down. Great moment for Dortmund defensively. But Fluminense knocking on the door. But that yellow wall of Borussia Dortmund's defence stood in its way. And are holding this Fluminense side. Canobio and Everaldo have just been substituted here for Cano and Sebra. I'll get the confirmation of that for you in a second, actually. German Cano has been replaced, or has replaced Everaldo. And Kevin Serna is the other one to come onto the field. And he's replaced Canobio for Fluminense. So 2 attacking changes for the Brazilian side. Wow. What a great moment from the Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper. A double save. And a big moment of this game. Fluminense have now had 13 shots, 4 on target. Dortmund have had 4 shots, just the 1 on target so far from Borussia Dortmund. As that long ball by Kerbal was brought down nicely in the midfield by Dortmund. Here's Sula out wide to Rearson. Nice right hand side, he's got bodies in the box. Rearson goes for the cross. Too high for Bellingham and Guirassy. And Xavier trying to clear his lines. We'll get a deflection and we'll go for a throw to Fluminense. Dan says, still high chance of score any goal, mate. I mean, whether there will be a goal, I'm not too sure because of the way the game's going. But both sides are trying, and Fluminense have had so many opportunities to score. So I could say one thing and the opposite could be completely true in 2 seconds. It's unpredictable what the next 18 and a half minutes could be of this game. But with the way Fluminense have played, their attacking display has been really fabulous. And again, the only thing missing is the goals. Their build-up play has been wonderful. Serna. Stretching to keep it alive there was Rene. Couldn't in the end keep it Fluminense. Anton. Excuse me. Nice work from Bellingham in the midfield. Out wide it goes to Svensson. Now Nemecha. Bellingham now. Nemecha. Trying to flick it over the top, but easily fine towards Fabio. Now Fluminense sits 6th in the Brasileiro Serie A. Flamengo actually sit top of the Brazilian league. 6 wins, 2 draws and 3 defeats for Fluminense from their first 11 games of the campaign. Here's a chance. Serna down the left-hand side here for Fluminense. Only on the field, whips the ball in, and it was not too far away as it was cleared by Anton again. Nice little movements here between the lines. Donato, little scrapple on the edge of the box as Anton comes away with it. Interception made, but one back by Dortmund, and now Girassi trying to charge through the middle, but well stopped, well covered over by Rene, defending for Fluminense. Loose touch there. Julian Brandt will just recycle it back into midfield. Here they come again, Dortmund. Here's Brandt. Again, not given the space around the edge of the box. Long shot from distance, but far too close to Fabio from Felix Nemetja there. I mean, you don't have to watch Not Pyro. If you think the game is scripted or not. I certainly don't think it is, but there we are. Rene. Serna down the left-hand side. Works it back into midfield. And Rene has to go back to Freitas. We haven't talked about Thiago Silva, and I think we definitely should, because the 40-year-old still at the top level, still in this game, more than able to compete in his one-on-one duels and lead his team in playing a very good game defensively at Fluminense. Of course, spent his time, a lot of his time, in Europe, playing his football. Milan, PSG, and then Chelsea, of course. Those are the three clubs that have separated his two spells. Of course, came through the Fluminense setup all those years ago. 2002, he was sent on a free from the youth team to RS Football. That was his first official senior club. Then Juventus, Porto, Dinamo Moscow, and back at Fluminense in 2006 for Thiago Silva. Joined on a free from Chelsea to Fluminense last summer. As Dortmund are going to make more changes here, and Fluminense have just made another change of their own. They have taken off Martinelli and brought on Lima, and Sabitzer and Brandt have been replaced for Borussia Dortmund by Chukwuemeka and Jimmy Gittens. So Gittens and Chukwuemeka on, replacing Brandt, and Sabitzer. Jesus, I couldn't remember that there. Right, 13 minutes or so to go with this one. Still goalless at this moment in time. It's good work from Rene down the right side, or left side, linking up with Serna. But the cross from Rene is too high. And it's recycled out to the right hand side to keep it alive for Fluminense. But still they're the team in the ascendancy. Fluminense at the moment. Dortmund have looked stronger for a while when they made those substitutions in the second half, but Fluminense have always had the rhythm of the game. They've always had the momentum of the game. As the long throw there by Rene, forcing Ben Sabani across to put the header, get the header and put it out for the throw. Rene takes it short this time with the throw-in. Arias. Nonato. Lovely little combinations in a tight space there for Fluminense. They work it back to Freitas. There definitely is a chance at a goal, Dan, but I'm not giving you any betting advice. Sorry for that, but I'm not here to be a professional. Here we go. Here's Cerna into the box. Cuts it across. It's not dealt with, but just about got there, Gregor Kobel. Ben Sabini put his goalkeeper in a difficult position and having to scrapple for that. And Gregor Kobel stepped in and made the grab on the ball just in the nick of time. Apologies, I can't give you any advice, Dan. I do apologise, but I have absolutely no idea on gambling or betting or any of that. I've got no advice to give you, unfortunately. Nice work from Girassi there, dropping a bit deeper to help out more centrally. Ball swung out to the right hand side for Rearson. Bellingham. Again, the space and nowhere really for Dortmund to try and exploit, and then Fluminense step in and win the ball, and now they're away. Here's Cerna on this left hand side again. Nonato has to come back a little bit as Dortmund flood the bodies back into their defensive shape again. Just around about 10 minutes to go. If there is to be a goal, you would bet on Fluminense getting it, but you never know with Dortmund. They can still snatch a goal. Or the game could play out as it has for the last 80 minutes. And neither side find the net, really. Who knows? Again, it wouldn't be the worst result in the world if either side did end up drawing this game. They drew, because you would obviously feel that they would be the two favourites to finish in the top two of this group, and drawing against each other maybe makes it a little bit easier for their objectives for the next two games. As that's going to be a foul and a yellow card. Foul on Felix Nemecha, and a yellow card going to be going the way of Nonato there, who just dragged him back a little bit lazily. And that's going to be a yellow card for him, and a free kick for Borussia Dortmund. The heat's hit me hard today, I gotta tell you. Here's Rearson. That's a poor ball there towards Joe Bellingham. Well over hits for a goal kick. Despite the fact, I gotta say that, you know, I gotta say, overall, from this game, both sides have struggled in the attack and third, no doubt. I think Fluminense, in a different way to Dortmund, Dortmund have struggled to get to the final third and actually do anything in it. Fluminense have struggled to get anything accurate out of their final third possession and their final third opportunities. Because there have been no shortage of opportunities for Fluminense, but they've struggled to test Gregor Kobel too much. And everything's worked for them up until the final third. Fluminense, I think, have played really, really interesting, intriguing, really nice football today, but if you can't find the net, it's all really to waste. Cerna bursting down this left-hand side, trying to give them something to hold on to, something to take from this game. He's more or less on his own, and he will go on his own for the shot, but it will be right at Gregor Kobel again. Yeah, and they're getting forward quickly, but well, there's not enough help to try and keep the attacks going, and two, they're isolated so much in the final third when they do get forward, Fluminense at times, that they're forcing to have wasteful opportunities and not really much coming of them. Ryerson here, lifting into the box here for Dortmund. Flick on header is wide by Svensson off that left-hand side. Goal kick. Yeah, nice idea from Ryerson. He actually run into Rene and then got the cross in. Dipped for Svensson, but he just couldn't head it towards the target. There's a little issue here for one of the Fluminense players, which has us with a little stoppage. It was Samuel Xavier that had the issue, but he seems to be okay. Another long kick by Fabio. Got down in the in the centre circle by Fluminense, and out to the left-hand side it comes to Cernanai. Well challenged by Ryerson. Or sorry, Sula, apologies. Very strong challenge. I've got to say, the substitute for Fluminense, Kevin Serna, since coming onto the field, has shown positives and drove at the attackers, or the Dortmund defence, but again, it's just that output that's lacking from Fluminense in the final third. That's a nice ball by Rene. Nicely led off to Arias here. Trying to squeeze it through, but he couldn't find a way past Sula on that occasion. A nice turn by Bellingham. Wriggled out of a bit of trouble. And Svensson out wide here on the left. Girassi coming deeper. Nice ball worked through the lines. Laid off to Bellingham. And now Dortmund on the move. A little bit of space here to manoeuvre into. Nemecha couldn't find the ball to any of his teammates as he got forward, and that's going to be offside, I believe. And they're going to make a change. Another one here, Dortmund. And Ryerson is coming off. And Jan Couto is coming on. That's all of their substitutes now Dortmund used, all 5. And the offside went up against Jimmy Gittens there, so that's going to be a free kick to Fluminense. 3 minutes and some change on top of that of the 90 to go, plus the additional time. And it looks like Fluminense are going to take this opportunity to make a change as well. They're going to bring on number 77, Paulo Baia. And he's going to replace Nonato here in the midfield. So Nonato off and Paulo Baia on. Taking the free kick quickly. Right into the action, Baia, as he lost his header to Sula. Nicely worked in the midfield there from Cano. Xavier. Flicked over the top down the right hand side. Lovely little turn. And still going for Fluminense here. Lifted ball into the box and took a deflection. Will be a corner. It's Svensson that got his body in the way, and he's maybe been winded by that cross. He's gone down now, Svensson, so it's going to be a corner to Fluminense in a moment. And Svensson helped back to his feet by Ben Sabani. Yeah, it was good work. It was Serna who's moved over to this right-hand side and kept the ball moving, and then as he tried to cross it, it just came off the torso of Svensson, and it goes behind for the corner. 2 minutes of the 90 to go. Arias with the delivery, right-footed, flicked across goal. Ooh, kept alive there by Bellingham. Kept it positive for Fluminense, who bring it down now. Swung round the corner by Cano, but nicely retrieved by the Dortmund defence, who get it back to their goalkeeper. Couto. Bellingham dispossessed, but fouled according to the referee. And a free kick taken quickly by Anton. Get the ball moving again for Dortmund. A little bit soft on Bellingham, if I'm honest, but the referee saw it his way and gave that decision of a foul. And let's see how long we'll be added on at the end of the 90 here in a moment. Here's Nemetja off the left. Gittins. Lovely little ball by Bellingham. Nemetja again still going. Runs into trouble. And now trying to break away down this left is the substitute here. Baya. Rene. Into midfield it goes. Oh, loose giveaway there. Well won back though on that occasion by the Fluminense players. And now a break down the right hand side for Serna. He's got Cano in the middle, but couldn't get past Anton in the first instance. Serna goes out for the throw. Here's Serna again from the throw. Whipped in. Cleared away by Ben Sabini. The ball's dropped nicely here, as we will have 6 additional minutes. So Dortmund trying to carry the ball forward. Bellingham held on to the ball well. Now Felix Nemetja trying to find the left channel, but too high, too far, nowhere near the target. Goal kick. Well, the player of the match has been announced as John Arias. The Fluminense player, who has done very well today, Arias. He's been a very positive player for Fluminense's attack. Very influential to the positive plays that they have made today. There are 5 minutes left, Dan. There were 6 added minutes, and we've played one of those, so 5 minutes to go before the end of the match. Still time for a goal. Arias. Serna down the right-hand side. Arias back to Serna, and now Arias will whip it towards the box. It's overhits, but it will be seen how to play well by Couto. That's a smart thing to do. Well, if I'm honest, if either of these two teams deserve to win this game today, it's Fluminense. I think Dortmund have been a little bit off it. That's a little bit of a late lunge there from Thiago Silva, but he made the challenge, and the last touch came off Silva. Will be a corner to Dortmund here in this left-hand side. Less than 4 minutes to go. There is no stream delay, by the way. I mean, as minimal a stream delay as we can get on YouTube. It's probably like 5 seconds or something like that. There's no real delay. And there's certainly no delay from my feed of this match. We are right on time. Corner, left-hand side. Whipped in with the right foot. Thiago Silva to clear it away. The shot from distance! Forced a great save off Fabio. And now Fluminense get the first touch on the ball and want a break, but that's well intercepted by Anton. That will give Dortmund a lot of confidence, that shot. Now into the box. Nemetja got the last touch of a Fluminense player. It will be another corner. Long effort by Nicolas Sula. Worth a hit, and he forced Fabio to make the save. Very good save. Another corner. For Borussia Dortmund, it's Svensson that's over it on the right side as the referee has to sort one or two issues out. Svensson to take the corner. Left-footed delivery. Flicked on, but flicked away from goal, really. And here's Xavier trying to get away, and he was brought down there quite cynically, you gotta say. And the referee's looking for a card that he's lost. He lost his yellow card there for a second. And he's now going to give that yellow to Couto. That was a very cynical one. I mean, he was searching his pockets, the referee, to find his yellow card. He had literally thought he'd lost it there, and Jan Couto given the yellow eventually. Dan says, who do you have will win Uro Diamonds or River Plate? I mean, I would back River Plate, but again, I know nothing about the Japanese side. Uro Red Diamonds, I have know nothing about them, but I would probably say River Plate would have the benefit of that game. But again, I'm not giving you betting advice. I am just saying that on the balance of things, I would say River Plate would win, but there's no guarantees. Just over a minute or so to go with the 6 added here at the MetLife Stadium in New York for our first game of Group F. Fluminense against Borussia Dortmund. It looks like it's going to end a 0-0 draw unless one of the two sides can have one big last chance. It's Fabio to take the kick. Ball's bouncing down. Brought down on the left side by Cerna. In between the lines by Rene. It's a little bit scrappy as Dortmund try and win it back. Nice touch. Beautiful touch. Now they're trying to make the move. Nemetcha intercepted. Gittins couldn't keep it alive. And now Fluminense will have one last chance maybe. Arias. Lima. Back to Arias again. Rene. All the way back to Freitas. Well, maybe Fluminense are just happy to take the draw. I'd say on the balance of things they should be unhappy with the draw because of how they've played, but maybe in the grand scheme of things they'll be happy that they got a draw out of this, probably the toughest of their 3 fixtures in this group, and they'll believe in themselves in the next 2 games. And there is the final whistle. 96 minutes, not a goal between them. 2 very competitive teams on the day, but without a shadow of a doubt Fluminense were the better side, but they just couldn't find the net with their many chances. Dortmund were lackluster, really, in this one. They'll need to improve for their next game on Saturday, but Fluminense can be happy with the display they've put on. And everything worked for them right up until the final third into the net. That's where they couldn't find it today. Dortmund, lackluster, off it. Maybe trying to get to grips with the heat in the United States, but ultimately, a very well matched 2 teams in this one, and it is finished Fluminense 0, Borussia Dortmund 0. And there we are. The first game of the day in the FIFA Club World Cup. River played against Ura Reds. The Group E game is 8 o'clock kickoff, and then Ulsan against Mamelodi Sundowns, which is the other 2 teams in Group F. They will play later on this evening. Right, that is it from us. We will be back tomorrow for a double header because we start tomorrow as Manchester City get started in the tournament. They take on Wydad AC. That is tomorrow at 5. We'll have that one for you. That is coming from Lincoln Financial Field tomorrow. And Manchester City taking on the Moroccan side. That's 5 o'clock tomorrow. Then that's followed by Real Madrid and their game against Al Hilal. That's the Group H game. That is tomorrow as well. That is our doubleheader tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining us for this one. I'm sorry we couldn't give you any goals. In the end, Fluminense certainly tried their very best to give us goals. Dortmund really didn't. They were poor on the day. But a point apiece, and we'll see how they both turn out when the group comes around in a few days' time. We'll see you again tomorrow, hopefully, for our doubleheader. For now, thanks for your company. We'll see you again soon.